Hello and welcome to a sort of impromptu, this isn't really a review, it's a kind of SonicLAB thing. I mean, what else can I say? The reason I'm doing it is because, as you know, we're in a bit of a lockdown at the moment, so I'm just trying to do as much content as possible because you may be at home kind of twiddling your thumbs and you may or may not find this interesting, but what we're going to do today is have a look at the Korg new Tekt NTS-1 digital kit. And this part I'm just really going to build it up. Those of you perhaps don't know what this is Korg, they added to first to the Prologue and then also to the Minilog XD this kind of additional digital oscillator and effect section, which was a kind of DSP based development system, which they included in those models. But they also then produced a board, I think it was Superbooth a couple of years ago, which was a development board which allowed you to develop code for those sort of limited DSP resources, in which case, you could have a separate oscillator module. Lots of people have been doing that. Actually, you can buy additional things which you load in. You can also add DSP effects. And the new Tekt 1 is kind of that, but it's also got the synth, a little synth engine in it, and this comes in a little kit form. So it's been it's about 99 quid, but the really cool thing about this, and I discovered this when we went to Synth last year with Luke from Korg, thanks Luke for showing us this, is it's got the DSP effects algorithms on board for from the Minilog XD, which if you saw my review, I really rated those. I thought they sounded fantastic. So we're just going to build up this little unit in this episode today. I don't know whether we'll get around to sounding it because I haven't built it yet. It may take ages, but as far as I understand, it's a fairly basic kind of snap together kit. So I think I'm just going to get on with it and I'll sort of try and narrate and make it as interesting as possible. So yeah, stay tuned or maybe come back later. Right, so we get the kit, we get these little boards that come with it, and if I just so they're very simple, and I think the first thing that we do, we're looking at these things, this is just showing what we've got everything of. So first of all we need to snap this bit, so we've got separate pieces, and then we take these bits off as well, which are kind of I think this feels like it'd be quite easy, quite difficult to mess it up. Just little snap points. So these are the sides of the case. So we've got all of those things. And then we've got the main circuit board itself. Then inside the box, if I put these to the side for now, inside the box, I should point out this is a monophonic. It's not a poly thing. We've got all these other bits and bobs here. So, the various kit elements that we need. So now what we need to do is we've got a little screwdriver that comes with it, which is handy because I don't think I've got that one that small. Let's see if I can open this up without spilling them everywhere. Yeah, so all our little screws and whatnot. So first of all, we need to take this guy and this guy, and I think we need to put, if I zoom in a bit tighter, we need to put that pin out. You can see the pins there, maybe. It needs to go in here. So I'm guessing that's probably that way round. Yeah, so either end. So the first thing that happens is we pop this in here. So push, this is just simple push together stuff. There we go. So now we've got the basic board. So then we've got to build our edges. So I think what we've got here, no, these are the side metal bits, so they're going to slide in like that and like that. All right, okay, so I think what we have to do is kind of build the frame around this. Okay, got it. So which way around is it going to be? So that's going to be on the bottom, I'm guessing. So let's just lay this out. So we're going here and here. I think that's basically, yeah. So we build the actual frame out like this and do the same with these corner pieces as well. I think we have to screw those together. That makes sense. So which way round do they go? I think the screws come in from the outside. So let's find our screws. So which screws do we need? I'm guessing we probably need... I am going to go and get another screwdriver because it's quite hard to get the torque on this little tiny thing. This is absolutely microscopic, this thing. It's like a sort of dull screwdriver. So let's just do that first. Nothing like being prepared, eh? And I'm nothing like being prepared. Let's find, we've got our toolkit here. That's a bit more like it. One of those. So let's screw all these together. Yeah, that's much better. Although it's still... Rewind. It's these tiny, tiny little screws here, which you probably see if I just drop them on that guy. Tiny little screws. So we'll just put these together. So I'll do that now, and then we'll come back to it in a sec. Right, so we're back. I've mixed things up a little bit because I had to take a break because the version I had, for some reason, it didn't have this little keyboard in the box. So Korg very kindly, and considering that everybody's in confinement, rather remarkably, sent me a replacement keyboard, which I plugged in, screwed it all together, and it all works fine. So what do you get? You get this little display on the top, which gives you parameters, 3 parameter access, mode buttons, and then the ins and outs, if I turn it around this way, volume control, micro USB, MIDI in on one of those kind of mini jack to MIDI adapters, in and out sync, which is kind of Volca, audio input, which is really handy, which we'll get onto, and then a headphone out. So what we'll do is we'll just plug the power in here. I'm using this on the laptop, which is just here, because I'm powering this, and I'm also powering the Arturia so I can get MIDI in and out, because this was one thing that was really actually quite difficult to solve. Now, I thought I can use MIDI in no problem. I've got all of these things. I've got the Pittsburgh modular adapter, I've got the Arturia adapter, and I've got the Novation adapter, so I'll just be able to plug that in and I'll get MIDI into the unit no problem. Sadly, no. All of those 3 are the wrong one. There are 2 types, there's an A type and a B type, and these, I forget which is which, but basically you need to make sure you've either got the Korg one, or we're told, I think it's the 4MS or Make Noise one works. So that's something to bear in mind, getting MIDI into the unit. I also thought maybe I could fix it just by using USB MIDI on a class compliant device. I've got this Sipario MIDI router, I thought plugged it in, but no, again, and that's because if we have a look, I'll show you the Korg ports. Now, we've basically got 2 outputs on the new Tekt. One is the MIDI out and one is the sound. If they were the other way around, because it's the first port in the list, a class compliant thing would just send it to it, but actually it's the wrong numbered port. So in my class compliant device, which works as a host, I could only access the wrong MIDI port because it uses the first one in the list. That's not really a Korg issue, but if they just renumbered them, it would be awesome and I could have worked. So MIDI is a bit of an issue. That's the only thing you want to watch out. It's worth making sure you've got the right MIDI adapter, otherwise you'll be playing it with this keyboard, which is all right, but you know, it's not a joyous experience. So if I now plug this in here and I come back out to my wider shot, you can see in Reaper, all I've basically done is, you know, it's a pretty straightforward routing. I've just got, I'll make that track a bit bigger. The input is coming from the Arturia and going out to the Korg, so I can get MIDI, which makes it a lot more enjoyable. Because, I mean, it's worth saying this is a tiny little device, but it's actually quite powerful. So let's have a look and see what we get. We've got these buttons here: oscillator, filter, envelope generator, mod, delay and reverb. These are the effects. We can set, we've got a little arpeggiator in here. There's also some global modes, which is sort of clock syncing, MIDI channel, which ports to use. But the filter is pretty the oscillator is pretty straightforward. We've got saw, triangle, square, I'm not sure what that up, down, and then waves, which is one of the DSP ones. And we've got these kind of modifiers. So it's essentially like one of those sort of oscillators which has just got two parameters. And on the square, sounds like we're bringing in a sawtooth and the pulse width. On the triangle, wave folding and a sub-oscillator, saw, sub-oscillator, and we've got a shape. So pretty straightforward stuff and quite basic. You'll have to forgive me, I've only got two cameras set up because I've taken a couple home in case I can only work from home. So it's not my usual multi-camera joy. And it's all fairly straightforward. I've also downloaded the editor, and as the editor, there is an editor for it which you can buy, which I'll show you a little bit later, but it just means that I can show you the parameters with greater ease. Before we do, let's have a listen to the filter. We've got different models in here. We'll maybe start with our classic sawtooth. No resonance. They're getting quite good at modelling filters. Korg, that's full resonance. Let's try low pass 4. Not losing any bottom end, which is kind of nice. Then we got band pass. Band pass 4 pole. High pass. And we can get some quite nice low harmonics with that. And then just bypass completely. Now, if we go back to the low pass filter, take the resonance down, there are additional parameters here. They've been quite clever with this because in the editor, which you can see here, which I've downloaded from Jimdo Free, it's a paid upgrade, it's just a third-party thing. You've got these additional parameters, but we can also access these parameters via the front panel. So in the oscillator, for instance, we've got an LFO, and we can have pitch mod, plus or minus. Goes quite high into audio rates, we'll take that down. But in the filter, we've also got the ability to have this sweep, so it's like a little kind of, if I take the resonance up, be able to hear it a bit better. So sweep gets faster and faster, and then we've got the depth. So we've got a little bit of a sort of potential for an envelope on the filter, which is kind of a nice thing to have. Then we've also got the envelopes, which we can set if we come back, and we'll just take the depth down on that. We've got positive and negative depth. Envelope, we've got the ability to have the attack decay. Again, if we press and hold, we get additional, so we've got a tremolo. Which is a nice bonus. Stick that into a bit of delay. But I'm getting ahead of myself, I wasn't going to go to that yet. So we've got all these potential for these kind of additional parameters, which are again what you can see on this. So if I zoom this up, you can see basically we've got sweep depth on the filter, we've also got the tremolo here, and we've got the LFO here as well. And the LFO, I think, I haven't figured out how to do this, but if I use it via the editor, let's take the tremolo depth down to off, and I bring if I come back to my actual editor, I can actually modulate the wave shape. So I can get pulse width modulation, you'll be pleased to know. So if we modulate. So we can get some kind of useful modulation. I wasn't sure that there was that much, but we've got the ability to kind of create these sort of modulation. We can, like I say, we can modulate the wave shape, we can modulate, there's a tremolo, and we can modulate the filter with this kind of envelope, as well as pitch modulation for the actual pitch modulation for the actual oscillator. So, you know, 3 modulation sources, actually better than I expected. So let's take a look at the effects, because I think the effects are basically what makes this really cool, because the effects allow us, we've got basically 3 stereo effects which can be applied either to the external input, well, or to the external input and to the internal voice. And that's actually rocking, because the effects are very similar, or at least they share a lot of the algorithms with the MiniLog XD, which I thought was a really, really cracking synthesizer. So let's have a look at those effects. I'm just using the arpeggiator here, which incidentally you can set different kind of types: major, minor, diminished, augmented, sustained, and then there's all these other additional parameters on each of these guys, which like the tempo and the divisions and latch. We'll do that actually. I'm just holding down a note here, so let's get some chorus on. Time and depth. We got an ensemble. Some really nice rich sounds there. Phaser and flanger. Let's take that off. Then we got the delay. Take that. Stereo delay, again with the depth and time. We can get some really nice sort of horrible short stuff right up to almost kind of sequence stuff. We got a mono delay. You get quite a lot of feedback there. Then we've got ping pong. Again, really quite sort of radical changes. Then sort of high pass one, which is more like tape. Some pretty cool stuff, and then onto the reverb. Now the reverb, if I take that off, the reverb is, in my opinion, it's the sort of pièce de résistance of this thing, because there's some just really nice algorithms in it. So I'm just going to, let me get a sound up, which is a bit more, so we'll do add a bit of attack, maybe we'll add a little bit of LFO depth. Now we'll go reverb. We'll start with the hall. Actually, if we put the attack. Take it up to the max. Not bad. And remember, you can apply this to the audio input as well. Let's try the plate. Open the filter up. Only basic effects here, we can't do... Oh, what's that? I think that must be... Oh, there are some extra effects that we can add to this. Are there? No, it's just... I don't know what that is. That's actually quite... I don't know what that is, but that gives us some more effects. Oh, I'm finding more stuff each as I go. Let's try space. quite sure what that means. I think this is the dry-wet mix, so we can go dry, or we got the depth, which is actually different to the dry-wet mix. Nice. Then we've got the riser, and this is more of your sort of classic shimmer type effect. Let's put the envelope back on here. Maybe bring the... We can make it completely wet. We're starting to get into almost polyphony because of all those extra voices added by the shimmer. Oh, that's nice. I wasn't expecting that. And then, sorry, it's very hard to keep this straight. Then we've got the submarine. Now, submarine is the opposite of shimmer. So instead of the pitch going up, the pitch goes down. Okay, this is almost totally wet, so I'll just change that. So we can create almost a freeze. Sorry, it's very hard to see everything, it's so tiny. Now tell me that's not lovely. Wow. Oh, well, you can't because I can't hear you, but I think that is great. So, I mean, bearing in mind, again, this is all coming from this tiny little thing. I mean, to be honest, I think we can forget about the keyboard, but I mean, imagine this in your pocket, getting sounds like this. But I think that's very impressive, and bearing in mind also we can add an external audio input to this and use it just as an effects generator, which is what Luke from Korg showed me at Synthfest last year. And that was something that really piqued my interest, because remember, this is about 99 quid. I don't know what, I guess maybe $100 as well. So some very impressive capabilities and sonically kind of interesting. Look, we'll try a couple other sounds and then maybe we'll have a look at some other features. Right, so let's have a look at the arpeggiator. Let's see if we can get some sort of bassy type or sequency type sounds. One thing I've discovered, press and hold the arp, we get latch. So now. So we've got the oscillator type, let's put a bit of delay on that. Try the triangle. I think this is a sort of digital wave actually, and then got the wet and dry mix here. Quite a lot of stuff you could do with that. I mean, yes, it's quite fiddly and you've got to remember all those key combinations or have some kind of editor, but these are MIDI controller assignable, so perhaps you could set up a controller to access some of this. But actually, you know, for the price, I think this is actually a cracking little thing, and because you've got all of that ambient kind of vibe to it, it can create a lot more sound than it looks like it does. So yeah, thumbs up from me, and something I probably, if I was maybe didn't have an effects unit or didn't have a synth, this would be something I might put in my sort of little desert island toolkit, just because it's a synth and it's got some great effects to it. Anyway, it's available now. You should be able to still get that. I think people are delivering, but 99 bucks is kind of a no-brainer, and it does a lot of things that you probably don't expect it to. Anyway, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.